सावधान, 2.5 करोड़ का इनाम मुझे। देखिए, अनजाने कॉल्स, फर्जी ईमेल्स, लिंक्स और जाली ऐप से अपना पिन, ओटीपी, पासवर्ड कभी भी किसी के साथ शेयर न करें। आप रहेंगे सावधान तो नहीं होगा नुकसान। आरबीआई कहता है, जानकार बनिए, सतर्क रहिए।
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, cricket, culture, cuisine. Connect India and Guyana, says Prime Minister Modi to Indian diaspora. Wraps up a successful three-nation visit to Nigeria, Brazil and Guyana. World reacts to the International Criminal Court's arrest warrant for Netanyahu. Biden calls it outrageous, even as Italy and the Netherlands vow to follow the court's ruling. Climate funding divisions laid bare at COP29 in Baku as the summit enters its final hours. And after concluding his successful three-nation visit to Nigeria, Brazil and Guyana, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is en route to New Delhi. The Prime Minister was in Guyana on the final leg of his visit. Announcing his departure from Guyana, the Ministry of External Affairs in a post on X said that a very warm and productive state visit of Prime Minister to Guyana has concluded. Prime Minister Modi made history as the first Indian the head of government to visit Guyana in over 50 years. During his visit, Prime Minister Modi addressed a community program in Guyana. He said that India and Guyana share a unique relationship, which is based on shared heritage, culture and values.
Namaskar. I have a great memories of visiting your wonderful country over 2 decades ago. At that time, I held no official position. I came to Guyana as a traveler, full of curiosity. Now, I have returned for this land of many waters as the Prime Minister of India. A lot of things have changed between then and now. But the love and affection of my Guyanese brothers and sisters remains the same. My experience has reaffirmed you can take an Indian out of India, but you cannot take India out of an Indian.
Prime Minister Modi also spoke about the efforts being undertaken to build the state-of-the-art infrastructure in the country.
India is a global hub for e-commerce, AI, fintech, agriculture, technology, and more. We have reached Mars and the moon. From highways to highways, airways to railways. We are building state-of-art infrastructure.
And Guyana's President Irfan Ali said that India and Guyana are not just restricted to economy and trade, rather the ties are deeply personal and emotional.
India today is a world leader in innovation, technology, infrastructure, development, human capital advancement, and importantly, Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, India is a shining light in leadership, your leadership. It is no secret that the strength of your leadership, the passion and compassion of your leadership, the deliberateness of your leadership has placed India in a different light and realm around the globe. You have brought incredible respect, but more importantly, you have brought a level of dignity and pride to India that is unmatched, and we congratulate you on that.
And Prime Minister Modi participated in 31 bilateral meetings and informal interactions with global leaders during his three-nation foreign visit. In Nigeria, Prime Minister Modi held a bilateral meeting with the President of Nigeria. Thereafter, Prime Minister held 10 bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Brazil's Rio de Janeiro. During his visit to Guyana, Prime Minister held 9 bilateral meetings. In Brazil, Prime Minister Modi held bilateral meetings with leaders of Brazil, Indonesia, Portugal, Italy, Norway, France, United Kingdom, Chile, Argentina and Australia. Amongst the 10 bilateral meetings in Brazil, Prime Minister Modi held his first meeting with 5 leaders, which include the President of Indonesia, the Prime Minister of Portugal, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, the President of Chile, and the President of Argentina. And in Brazil, the Prime Minister also held informal interactions and pull-aside meetings with world leaders, with leaders of Singapore, South Korea, Egypt, United States of America, Spain, and with the heads and executives of various international organizations like the United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres and many others. And in Guyana, let's now take a relook of the Prime Minister's successful three-nation visit to Nigeria, Brazil and Guyana. So Indian Prime Minister's visit to Nigeria, the first leg of his three-nation tour, saw several key developments. Prime Minister was conferred with the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, that's Nigeria's national award. And India and Nigeria pledged to enhance cooperation on maritime security, counter-terrorism and intelligence sharing, addressing piracy and organized crime in the Gulf of Guinea and the Indian Ocean. Economic discussions focus on finalizing agreements on investment promotion, double taxation avoidance and economic cooperation. Both nations reaffirmed their commitment to champion the cause of the Global South. The two countries also signed memoranda of understanding on cultural exchange programs, customs cooperation and survey cooperation. On the second leg of his three-nation visit, Prime Minister visited Brazil, where he attended the 19th G20 summit. Prime Minister Modi highlighted the steps taken by India to strengthen food security in Africa and elsewhere. Prime Minister Modi held several bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the G20 summit. The Prime Minister met the French President Emmanuel Macron and discussed working closely in sectors such as space, energy and AI. Prime Minister also held a meeting with his UK counterpart Keir Starmer. Following the bilateral meeting, Starmer announced that trade talks with India would be relaunched in the new year at an early date. And on the last leg of his visit, Prime Minister Modi visited Guyana, marking the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the South American nation in over 50 years. Prime Minister Modi was conferred the country's highest award, the Order of Excellence, by Guyanese President Irfan Ali. India and Guyana signed 10 agreements to enhance cooperation in many areas. Both India and Guyana agree on the need to reform global institutions. Prime Minister Modi became the first Prime Minister to address the National Assembly of the Parliament of Guyana. Dominica President also conferred the highest national award, Dominica Award of Honor, on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And Defence Minister Rajnath Singh visited Wat Sisaka Temple in Vientiane. He said he felt blessed after his visit to the temple. He said that India's shared Buddhist heritage with Lao PDR is a significant link in our modern-day relations. Singh also met Defence Minister of Japan, General Nikatani, in Vientiane. Lao PDR and Defence Secretary of Philippines, Gilberto Teodoro. He said that the partnership with Japan will play a significant role in ensuing free, open and rule-based Indo-Pacific region. The Canadian government has clarified that there is no evidence linking Indians to criminal activity in Canada. The statement follows a Canadian newspaper report which contained these unfounded allegations. The same were dismissed by the Ministry of External Affairs as ludicrous statement and a smear campaign. Now the Canadian government has dismissed these claims as speculative and inaccurate, distancing itself from the report. In a statement, the Canadian government said, and I quote, "On October 14th, because of a significant and ongoing threat to public safety, the RCMP and officials took the extraordinary step of making public accusations of serious criminal activity in Canada perpetrated by the agents of the Government of India. The Government of Canada has not stated, nor is it aware of evidence linking Prime Minister Modi, Minister Jaishankar or National Security Advisor Doval to the serious criminal activity within Canada. Any suggestions to the contrary are both speculative and inaccurate." And still to come on this edition of DD India Live, we show you what's buzzing at the 55th International Film Festival of India in Goa.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Amritpal Singh. The International Criminal Court on Thursday issued an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defense minister, as well as Hamas military chief Mohammed Deif. The unprecedented move drew a furious reaction from Netanyahu, who denounced it as anti-Semitic and the court's accusations absurd and false. In a video statement, Netanyahu vowed that the warrant would not deter him from defending Israel.
The anti-Semitic decision of the International Court in The Hague is a modern Dreyfus trial, and it will end the same way. No biased anti-Israel decision in The Hague will prevent the State of Israel from defending its citizens. Israel will not recognize the validity of this decision. We will continue to do everything we must do to defend our citizens and defend our state against Iran's axis of terror.
And world leaders are split over ICC's decision. The United States President Joe Biden has called the arrest warrants for top Israeli leaders as outrageous. In a statement, Biden said that the United States will always stand with Israel against threats to its security. Meanwhile, the White House has rejected the decision by the International Criminal Court, saying that the U.S. is discussing the next steps with its partners, including Israel.
We fundamentally reject the court's decision to issue arrest warrants for senior Israel officials. We remain deeply concerned by the prosecutor's rush to seek arrest warrants and the troubling process errors that led to this decision. The United States has been clear that the ICC does not have jurisdiction over this matter.
Meanwhile, Italy considers, alongside its allies, how to interpret the decision of the International Criminal Court. In issuing arrest warrants for the Israeli Prime Minister and act collectively, Italian Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani said that the court must play a legal role and not a political one. On the other hand, Turkey is positive about the decision. Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan welcomed the warrants as an extremely important step. Sweden and the European Union also support the important work of the court and the safeguard its independence and integrity. Meanwhile, the United States envoy Amos Hochstein met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Tel Aviv to secure a ceasefire. The U.S. envoy also met with Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz in Tel Aviv. Israel says its aim is to secure the return of tens of thousands of people back home who were evacuated from its north due to rocket attacks by Hezbollah. The U.S. envoy also met with Lebanese Parliament Speaker Nabi Berri in Beirut. Berri has led the mediation efforts on behalf of Hezbollah. Hochstein said that on Tuesday that an end to the war was within our grasp. 2 people were killed and another 12 were injured in Russian drone attacks in northeastern Ukrainian city of Sumy on Friday. According to Ukrainian authorities, several buildings and vehicles were also damaged after the 3 Russian drones allegedly attacked the city. Meanwhile, Russian Defense Minister Andrei Belousov has said that Russian forces in Ukraine had accelerated their advance. Russian Defense Ministry said its forces had captured the eastern Ukrainian village of Dalny in the Donetsk region, which is a focal point of their advance in the 33-month-old war. Cyclone Bomb, which clobbered the northwest area of the United States, has left catastrophic effects in California after leaving a trail of destruction in Washington, claiming the lives of 2 persons. The cyclone is anticipated to hit the U.S. Pacific Northwest by Friday morning. Thousands of people remain without power from the torrential rain and the snow still falling from the first one. About 260,000 homes and businesses remained without power in Washington, Oregon and Northern California. Division and discontent spilled into the open on Thursday at the UN Climate Summit in Azerbaijan's Baku as the closing deadline neared. The divide was sparked by a draft proposal at COP29 for the new global finance deal. The draft offered 2 vastly different options which left no one happy. Developing countries need at least $1 trillion a year by the end of the decade to cope with climate change. Although the 10-page document was slimmed to less than half the size of the previous version by stripping out some options, it summed up the opposing positions of blocs of developed and developing nations established before the event. The German auto sector has been in trouble for a while and the negative headlines just keep coming in. The latest one of the sector's most important suppliers to cut cost. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Lars, what are you hearing on that?
Thanks for having me. Well, first of all, the company we're talking about is Bosch, truly a storied German industrial company. They're a household name because one of their fields is power tools and household appliances. So I would say there's not many Germans who don't have a dishwasher or dryer, a screwdriver or a circular saw that doesn't bear the name Bosch. But there's much more to the company, including industrial machinery and technology, and of course, their automotive sector. Bosch manufactures powertrains. Their technology is on brakes for many cars, in steering. They're specialized in automotive electronics and connected mobility solutions that have more recently become a lot more important. But of course, with their automotive clients in trouble, they are now experiencing difficulties themselves, and that forces them to cut cost.
Lars, then what exactly is Bosch planning?
Well, actually, they are going for a less drastic approach to cut costs than many other firms are doing these days. They're asking their employees to stay on board, but to work less. A few hundred are supposed to cut their weekly work hours from between 38 and 40 down to 35, and of course, make less money than too. That's for the main plant. In others, they're asking to cut from 40 to 37 hours. There might be further cuts a few months down the road. That is according to management. Now, they do admit they don't know if it will be enough to weather the current storm, but the CEO says that obviously it is better to cut hours than let people go. And that had been on the table, actually, with up to 7,000 jobs on the line for a while.
Okay, thanks, Lars, for that information. And back home news from the 55th International Film Festival of India, which is ongoing in Goa. Now let's understand how Day 3 is panning out in Goa, celebrating IFFI, as DD India correspondent Deepika Mahato brings us more.
A lot of action is buzzing on Day 3 of the International Film Festival of India, from the 18th edition of Film Bazaar to IFFI, which is a grand celebration of not only OTT but a tribute to centenary celebration of legendary Bollywood heroes Nagarjun, who attended the performances yesterday and paid tributes to the legends of Indian cinema. And today as well, we are expecting a lot of folk performances, art performances, dance performances across the day, and we are also expecting some DJ performances which are happening tonight. And there you can also see a signature wall which is for the viewers, for the attendees specifically, who can come here, sign the wall and share their views about IFFI and how we can improve, how IFFI can improve in the coming number of years. And you can see the stage behind me, which is all set to welcome the dignitaries, which is all set for some more performances and a lot of action. And apart from that, not only this, for all the cine lovers, the stage will be buzzing because the red carpet will completely remain in active mode with the coming in of many international and national stars, as the premieres will be going on throughout the day here in Goa. With camera person Alok, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Goa.
And legendary actress Amala Akenini talks about the changing landscape for women actors in cinema and how beneficial the new OTT app Waves would be for filmmakers. Listen in.
We have with us the legendary actress who spent more than 4.5 decades in this cinema industry, Ms. Amala Akenini. Thank you so much for exclusively talking to DD India, ma'am. First of all, my question to you, because you've spent so many years, more than 4.5 decades in Indian cinema, how do you see the changing role of women and where do we project them today through cinema?
I love this question. This is something that I think it's in the heart of every woman in Indian cinema. I will limit my answer to film education because we are a massive melting pot of cultures and diversity in Indian cinema, and to kind of be presumptuous to speak on behalf of this huge melting pot would be not right on my part. But as far as film education is concerned, that's where we make an impact. Firstly, the importance of film education, because you cannot go into a crew and make an efficient run production with all the right craft and technical inputs to it to tell your story unless you're trained. It doesn't come by magic, it doesn't come by birth. You have to train, right? So, and during the training, there is a lot of cultural sensibility. There is the cinematograph act that we go through, as long as the diversity and inclusiveness training. We have women and men working together in collaborative roles to make the films. And I think by this exposure, the younger generation of filmmakers will know very well of what Indian women are today and how to portray them.
And ma'am, your thoughts on the OTT app Wave?
Yes, it's wonderful. I'm delighted to be here for the Waves launch as an OTT platform from Prasar Bharati. It's a great opportunity for young talent. And it also gives an extended life for films that are getting washed out at the box office. Today, between 2 weekends, the film producers have to recover their money, and many of them are going bankrupt because of that. It's just not, it's not physically possible to recover the amount you have to spend on a film between 2 weekends, unless, of course, it's a blockbuster. But that was never the case before. Before, even a decent film, even if it wasn't a blockbuster, it would still have sufficient time to make back its money. And this is deeply concerning for the film industry, because we don't want to lose our producers. Without producers, how will cinema be made? And for them to get an extended life of perpetuity on an OTT platform, that their content will then continue to garner audiences. But the OTT platforms also need to understand the challenges of the business to be able to, find the right balance.
And that's it in this edition of DD India Live. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available both on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code you see on your screens right now and download the app. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we will tell you what are Red missiles launched by Ukraine on Russia and the likely impact.